Hey up everyone, I'm making this video because we've got to talk about what's going to happen next for Colby Covington. Now, ever since his loss to Joaquin Buckley, I've been saying, Colby, yeah, you should retire. Your time's done, buddy. You used to be known for beating up old wash fighters. Well, now you're one of those old wash fighters, so it's probably best that you hang up the gloves. But then he spoke out after his defeat to Joaquin Buckley. I believe it's the first time he spoke out about it. And he was saying, oh, the best is yet to come. I'm only getting started. Even though he turns 37 in February. So even though I strongly believe that Colby should retire, his character's old now, and, you know, he's not that guy anymore. Let's talk about the possibilities if he was to remain in the sport and not retire, and who we could fight next. So when we look at the welterweight rankings, Colby has dropped down to 9th, whilst Joaquin Buckley, who's moved on up to number 6. I believe they've swapped positions now. So Colby is 9th in the rankings in the top 15 of the welterweight division. Now, a lot of people are going to be saying Ian Garry. Obviously, Ian Garry just lost to Shavkat. You know, I think he's like 27, so he might be in his prime, maybe not even entered his prime yet. Obviously, these two have gone at it back and forth on social media, talking shit about one another. Is now the right time to make the fight? I feel like for Ian Garry, no, but at the same time, I wouldn't be annoyed at this fight because I feel like Ian Garry wins this fight rather comfortably. But at the same time, the build-up to the fight would be quite fun. It would be good to sell on a pay-per-view card. You know, they wouldn't do this for a Fight Night card. They would want to benefit off this, surely, and put this on a pay-per-view card, maybe as a co-main. Definitely on the main card, but maybe as a co-main for a pay-per-view or something like that. That would be pretty cool. You know, I feel like Colby, would he win this one? I don't believe so. I mean, stylistically, yeah, he could. But I still don't see it happening. Like I say, I think he should retire. But regardless, stylistically, maybe it could happen. Maybe he could beat Ian Garry and his grappling just be way too much for Ian Garry and overwhelming. But I think Ian Garry would just chew away, sort of like Leon Edwards, like similar to that performance, and just chew away at Colby for I'd assume 5 rounds. They would make this fight. It would be stupid to do it for 3 rounds. But for 5 rounds, just chip away at him for 5 rounds, and maybe Colby wins 1 round with, you know, a few takedowns here and there. And that's about it. But that would be a decent fight, mainly because of the build-up. That is literally the only reason I wouldn't mind this fight, because of the build-up. It'll be quite fun. You know I'm quite bored of Colby's character, but when it comes to how it would play in against Ian Garry, I think it would make it very entertaining. So, you know, that would be a decent one. What I think would be most likely, and I'm not really a fan of this happening, I think Colby will take on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Thompson is currently 11th in the rankings, so only 2 away from Colby Covington. Wonderboy, obviously, you know, he loses to pretty much every grappler he comes across. Pretty much Burns. I'm trying to think of all the grapplers he came across, actually. Burns, Bilal. Can't really think of anyone else. I mean, Buckley's a grappler, but he's kind of, you know, mixed it all in. But yeah, Wonderboy, Tyron Woodley as well, of course. He doesn't do the best against grapplers. And Shavkat as well right now. It's all coming back to me. And Shavkat as well. He doesn't do the best against grapplers. Colby's a grappler. Colby's still younger than him, so he can still follow up on what he's been used to doing in his career, beating up the older person. So that would be perfect for Colby. I feel like Colby would call for this fight, and because Wonderboy is still a big name, you know, and well loved and respected, that, you know, he'll call for this fight, and if he was able to beat Wonderboy, which I believe he probably would, well then he'll just be like, oh, I want the title shot, I'm the real true star in the welterweight division. And that's where I say I get bored of his character, who's, you've seen it all and heard it all before, and it just doesn't, his talk doesn't back up in the cage. And that's my whole problem when you keep up this character, when you be like, I'm the best, all this, yada yada yada, fucking raw American sex appeal, whatever you want to call it, and shit like that, but he's not backing it up in the cage. So I reckon Wonderboy Colby is what Colby would root for. I wouldn't be a fan of it, but I think this is something that Colby would really go for, and I wouldn't be surprised if UFC ended up making it, because Wonderboy, I don't think he would turn down a fight against anyone. After this is one I'll actually be interested in, wouldn't mind that much. A fight between Colby and Gilbert Burns. I mean, Gilbert Burns, he's ranked 8th, so just 1 ahead of Colby, so it would make sense. But will Colby want to do it? I am not entirely sure. This is kind of a, not a stylistic nightmare, but I feel like the grappling will cancel each other out, and maybe we'll get like a brawl like we did with Usman and Colby. And it's kind of the same with Gilbert and Usman. I feel like that'll be a good fight. They're both around the same age. I think they might actually be the same age. I think that would be a great fight to make. The build-up, I don't think it'll be anything crazy. It'll be okay. The fight itself could be quite good. And do I think Colby would win? No. But Gilbert Burns, you know, he has flapped it a few times in the bigger fight. So maybe Colby could get it done. I don't know. I'd much prefer, I'd favour Gilbert Burns going up against Colby Covington. But I feel like that's still a winnable fight for Colby, even though I fancy Gilbert over Colby Covington more than I fancy Colby over Gilbert. But still, I think that'll be a solid fight. And again, ranking-wise, it makes a lot of sense. Right then, lads, I've got to interrupt you because I said I don't think Colby versus Gilbert would really happen. But ever since recording this video, some more came out. So Gilbert Burns leaked Chael Sonnen's phone number on Twitter. Colby, I think, on like a live stream because he's on Twitch now. He's a competitor of mine because I'm on Twitch as well. Cheeky little plug. But what is it? Yeah, Colby was like, oh, I'll beat up Gilbert Burns for this and yada yada yada. Gilbert Burns responded saying I want to fight Colby in Miami around April time, March, April time. So maybe we can get this fight again. Colby said he would beat up Gilbert, and Gilbert wants to fight as well. So maybe we could actually get this fight, and maybe I was wrong when I recorded this saying I don't see this happening. Hopefully we can get this fight because I actually really want to see it. Another one we have is Vicente Luque, who just picked up a win against Themba Gorimbo. Lovely finish in the very first round, only the other week on the UFC 311 pay-per-view. So would that make sense? Ranking wise, possibly. But would Colby take it? Stylistically, maybe he would. But I feel like he wouldn't want to fight Vicente, and the UFC wouldn't want to make that fight because, let's be honest, not really a massive name, and Vicente's not like some young fighter coming up in the rankings, and if he wins it really does catapult him or anything like that. That's not really the case. I feel like that would be you know, that's a possibility. Will it happen? More than likely not. That's probably the least likely out of any of the ones that I've listed, if I'm being completely honest. But then that's why I mentioned Vicente Luque, just because I say, oh, the UFC wouldn't want to make it because if he did win, and it wouldn't really catapult him or anything because he's not a young prospect or anything like that. He's been around, you know, he's a veteran pretty much. But Carlos Prates or Michael Morales, that's a possibility that the UFC maybe would want to push for. Colby wouldn't want any of it because these guys, you know, straight up killers. But what we haven't seen from these guys, we've seen a bit from Prates. No, actually, yeah, we've seen takedown defense from these guys. But would they be able to withstand Colby's pressure and his wrestling ability? God knows, but I would still favour Michael Morales and Prates against Colby Covington. I think they'll take his chin off. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The UFC, I feel like, would push for these fights because, again, they're prospects at the moment. They're very exciting prospects in the welterweight division. Maybe the UFC would push it for those fights to happen, but I feel like Colby would try and steer away. And that's why I feel like the possibility of those fights wouldn't happen. But I feel like Wonderboy, Gary, definitely the two big ones that are very likely. Maybe Gilbert Burns, what I would also like to see as well. Those are the top three that I think will most likely happen. But there is talks, guys. There is talks, and Masvidal coming back. I've heard a lot of people say, maybe a rematch with Masvidal. I wouldn't put it past Colby, but how would you solve this fight? This fight headlined a pay-per-view. This fight would not headline a pay-per-view. This fight would not be... It shouldn't be a co-main either on a pay-per-view, so I don't know how they'll go about doing a rematch for that fight. I mean, it could be a possibility, but I don't even want to put too much thought into it because I really don't like the idea of that rematch of that fight. But yeah, those are really the only possibilities for Colby. I don't see him fighting up in the rankings after taking, what, 2 losses in a row and not being that active and being quite old now, so I don't see him fighting up in the rankings. I don't think it would make any sense. So I think those are the only possibilities of who Colby could potentially fight. Maybe you got someone like Dustin Poirier, but I don't think Dustin Poirier's last and final fight would be against Colby. Maybe Charles Oliveira because there's talks of him moving up, but I don't think Charles right now would move up. So those are the possibilities, but let me know in the comments what you guys think would be the case for Colby and who he may fight next. What do you think would that? Do you agree with me and think that he should retire? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.